My favorite Pokemon has always been Haunter, but I never really stopped to question it before. I never stopped to ask myself why I love him so much. I've just always been really happy to see him. And in every single Pokemon game, from Red version all the way to Sword and Shield, I've always made sure he was on my team. Now, I'm not one for Pokemon strategy. I've never really cared about EV training or any of the minor details of how to properly max out your stats or whatever. I never cared about stuff like that. I was just in it to catch the Pokemon, battle the Trump insert organization, and then catch some more Pokemon. I was made to understand that Ghost-type Pokemon aren't exactly the most versatile, but I would still find a way to make him fit snugly in the team. His Pokedex entry from Gen 1 all the way up to Sword and Shield has teetered a little bit. But the most consistent entries that he does have, if its tongue makes contact with you, or in other words, if it licks you, you will not stop shivering until you die. And if you are alone and you feel like you're being watched, a Haunter is likely nearby. I bring up Haunter today because it tickles me how blunt his name is. A ghost that will seek you out or haunt you and then drain your life force. Forgive my blaspheming, fellow Pokemon fans, but it's interesting to me that Haunter is almost a one-to-one for depression and anxiety. The Mayo Clinic defines depression as: depression is a mood disorder that causes persistent feeling of sadness and loss of interest, also called major depressive disorder or clinical depression. It affects how you feel, think, and behave, and could lead to a variety of emotional and physical problems. You may have trouble doing normal day-to-day activities, and sometimes you may feel as life isn't worth living. More interestingly, Haunter has moves that correspond with depression. And yes, almost all ghost types can apply here. We're just talking about my favorite real quick. Some of the symptoms are tiredness and lack of energy, so much so that even the smallest tasks require extra effort. Loss of interest or pleasure in almost any kind of activity, which includes hobbies, sex, extracurriculars. The corresponding move, spite, which drains the target of their power points, rendering them unable to do an action. Sleeping disturbances, which could be sleeping too much, tossing and turning, discomfort, or even insomnia. The corresponding move, nightmare. Slowed thinking, speaking, or body movements, difficulty concentrating, making decisions, or even remembering things. The corresponding move, confuse ray. And last but not least, feelings of worthlessness or guilt, or fixating on past failures. That one's a little harder to pinpoint because there's a number of moves that can actually be attached to that. Now, of course, I'm not saying Haunter has anything to do with the way that I feel. I've been dealing with depression since long before I even knew what a Pokemon was. I struggle with it to this day. There's so many videos that I have written out, so many that I have filmed, so many that I've compiled B-roll and extra footage for, so many things that I've worked on that I should have put out by now, but I just don't feel like they're worth it. Despite being able to put these things together and actually weave together a story, I just weave myself into a fucking blanket in my room and just stare off into space. Or I'll do it in this living room and stare blankly into the TV, not even absorbing what information is being fed to me. This has been a thing for me since I was like 5 years old. Depression has definitely felt like the enemy of all creatives. I think of all my friends, literally one has the luxury of not understanding how depression works, let alone suffer from it. My Facebook feed, every fourth post is an ad, but every third post is a depression meme. A depression meme about getting away from it, succumbing to it. It's so interesting that an entire generation, we all have the same disease that's telling us the same lie. Granted, just like a packet of Skittles, not everybody has the exact same kind. We all have different variations. The voice isn't always the same. The depressive voice in my head is not the same as my girlfriend's. It's not the same as my best friend's. Hundreds of thousands, even millions of people in my age group, we have the same lie being told to us in our head. We're suffering from the same mental chemical imbalance. It's telling us the same lie, but in different languages or in different words, with different inflections, with different background music, different filters. But it's not true. So what do we do about it? I don't know. I'm 28 years old, and I've been dealing with this for 23 years. 23 years, and it's played many a mind game with me. It even got to a point where there was a small break. I don't even remember when. There was a small break in my life where I didn't feel it. I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel worthless. I didn't feel broken. I didn't feel confused for like a month or 2 months. And I started to miss it. I began to miss the sadness. I began to miss the familiarity of just not wanting to be better. I began to wonder, is it more that I'm afraid of how long I've been happy and it's gonna be taken away from me? Is it that I've been with this sadness and suicidal thoughts for so long that I'm not comfortable without it? Could it be that I've been with this for so long, I felt so alone, so confused, so defeated, so long. Like it's been with me my entire life. It's part of me. It's my it's Could it be that the continued depression, the continued sadness, the continued anxiety, I'm so familiar with it. It's been with me my entire life. I'm so attached to it that I am now uncomfortable without it? Can you fathom just how fucked an internal struggle that is? To miss being sad and then to not even be sure that that's what I'm feeling. The mind is an incredibly powerful weapon. And as powerful as it is, I am just dumbfounded at how people can have one and still be incredibly stupid. So again, what do we do? How do we deal with this? Well, there is no short answer, and there's not a single answer, or rather a single correct answer. Live and forgive. I know. It sounded corny, it sounded cheesy, and it's not exactly the climactic finish, but trust me, try to understand. When I say live, I mean actively put yourself into your life. Allow yourself to experience things. Spend time with friends, work on your craft, enjoy your favorite snack, read books, play an instrument. And if you find yourself completely unable to do anything, forgive yourself. I'm not saying that to imply that you are to blame for anything. It isn't your fault. But most likely, your depression has convinced you that it is. At least in my experience, that's what it tells me. It's my fault that I'm not doing shit. But if this is the case, take a mental health day. Take some time to just collect yourself. If that's laying in bed in a blanket cocoon, do it. If it's taking a nap, do it. Taking your prescription, do it. Talking to someone, do it. It's okay to not be okay. Take your time. Pace yourself. Give yourself time to understand your spirit, your depression. Because just like my good boy Haunter, despite everything I said earlier, he is a Pokemon. And a Pokemon can be captured. And when they are, they're on your side. You're in control. Once you understand how you feel, what makes you feel that way, and how to improve that, and how to deal with it when it becomes too much, I don't think there's anything better than understanding what makes you you.